the whole thing actually, it sounds like he got turned off of it a little bit. They had him on ABC and just totally ripped everyone on the show and pretty much made him look like kooks, you know?
Right.
And I think it kind of took some of the wind out of his sails to have anything. And, you know, he had been contacted by a military-industrial complex group, and they had told him not to do the History Channel show. And pretty much they cut off all communication with him when that happened. So he's not had the most, I guess, pleasant time after the show. But he's a great guy.
Interesting. So your experiences seem to be very different. I mean, sounds like he is experiencing some more challenging circumstances, and you're just kind of going with the flow here, it feels like.
You know what, though? I mean, we've both had, you know, one of the first things that happened to me, I had my very first interview was with 19 Action News here, and 1 week before it, I was drugged, and I woke up with my jaw shattered. It was broken twice on the left side and once on the right side. And I had to have the left side of my face wired back together. Well, I almost canceled that interview because when I got back from the hospital, I couldn't talk real well, as you can imagine. But something came over me. I just knew it wasn't right, you know. And I said, I'll mumble through it, you know. So I did. And that's the actual broadcast that something shut down their whole studio. All their computer systems crashed. And when they went to the next story, everything started working perfectly again. So if you've seen some of the Lake Erie UFOs in the mainstream news stuff I put together, the first one she's talking about, you remember the last time we tried to play Michael Lee Hill's footage and everything crashed. I guess my point for telling you this is it's like I truly believe that people that start to wake up, you know, to bigger realities. And, you know, we've seen the corruption of oil and banking families that are truly running everything.
Right.
You know, if they're going to come in contact with beings that would put their oil-based economic slavery system, make it obsolete, you know, of course they would fight it tooth and nail because they're not looking out for the benefit of the many.
Right.
They're looking out for their own pockets.
Right.
So, I think that's about to change, though.
Well, it has to. I mean, we're at a tipping point. You know, I mean, we can't continue to live with the fiction of a petroleum-based economy when the former CEO of Lockheed Skunk Works on his deathbed is Ben Rich is telling people that you know, hey, look, we got the goods and we've had it for a while. And we go to the stars, and it's going to take an act of God for us to give it up. I mean, that's a reality. These technologies exist, and we are living in a fiction. It's a complete and utter fiction.
Yes, yes. How do you handle that mentally, by the way? This is something I know it's true, and I've been learning this, but, man, it kind of makes you feel insane because most people are still under that illusion. You know what I mean? And you go to try to tell someone something, and it's just so far out of their belief system that you might as well be talking another language.
Yeah, well, the way I remedy that is I talk to people like you. You know, I have my own radio show, so I can.
Right on.
This is like therapy for me, man. You know.
Cool.
So, but this is the reality, the quote unquote reality that we're living in is this phony, you know, petroleum based economy, and it's not real. I mean, it's real to the extent that, you know, it's impacting our environment, it's impacting our pocketbooks. But at the end of the day, man, we got different worlds going on in this place, and obviously you're an experiencer of that because you are literally experiencing a variety of worlds here.
Yeah, it's been a beautiful thing in my life, actually. You know, when you see these things with your own eyes, because film really doesn't even do it any justice. They are so bright, and it's almost like multidimensional colors. They're pulsating these colors that are so vivid and bright. But in 1 second, it'll go through like the whole color spectrum. You know what I mean?
Right.
That's one thing people don't know. You can take this footage and go frame by frame, which I don't know what film is. It's like 30 frames a second or something like that.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Approximately.
Yeah.
And so every 1/30th of a second, you're going through frame by frame, and it'll be like red. The next one will be like totally purple. The next one will be gold. It's like not even, it's totally changed colors in 1/30th of a second. If you can go through and just go through that frame by frame. It's pretty mind-blowing.
How deep is Lake Erie?
It's one of the shallowest. It is the shallowest of all the Great Lakes. I think it averages about 80 feet. It's not deep at all. What's interesting is, let me tell you some things about this that people don't really know. First of all, Morton Salt is right here. There's the largest salt deposits right under the lake in the whole world, really. So there's huge salt mines under there, and I've heard that there's a base under there, like a secret base under Lake Erie that's been there a very long time. I'm not even talking our own people's base, you know?
Right, right.
Secondly, in the new footage that I put out, when I pan to the right and that object comes by right, and you can hear me say, right there is CEI power plant. First of all, since 9/11, that's a no-fly zone. That all coal, nuclear power plants and like dams, all of them have no-fly zones around them, and that was proven by the History Channel as well. And another fact that I don't think people are putting two and two together is that exact same power plant, CEI in East Lake, is the exact same power plant from the famous 1988 East Lake UFO event where the giant triangle was down by that power plant and the Coast Guard. First of all, the East Lake Police Department went down. They said, well, we don't know what to do. So they called the Fairport Coast Guard, and the Coast Guard went down and witnessed this thing for close to a half hour and made an actual Coast Guard report, and tracked down that actual Coast Guard report as well. But that's the exact same place that these things are still showing up to this day.
Interesting.
Yeah, so I think there's a lot more history here than people know. And actually, I've got this phenomenon over the lake traced back into the 1800s. Local newspapers here at that time, like check this out. Scientific American, News Series, Volume 3, Issue 8, August 18th, 1860. And it says, the Cleveland, Ohio Herald says that they're seeing, they called them wizard lights, and it said that they would see these objects that looked like a ship was on fire, but it was, 100 feet above the lake, and that they would think it was some kind of weird optical illusion of a boat burning out there, and they would go out and there would be no wreckage ever came in. And it was pretty well reported that all these people along the lake would be witnessing these things. And so I think that negates as well that these are anything, because a lot of people go, well, maybe it's our military.
Right.
Well, not if it's back in the 1800s as well, witnessed and reported,
Right. Yeah, 1860, that's going back a ways.
Yeah, well, there's one, that one was August 18th, 1860, and then another one was a curious phenomenon on Lake Erie, Brooklyn Eagle, Thursday, December 12th, 1867.
Wow, interesting stuff, man. Fascinating. Yeah. So, when you were a kid, you were growing up, did you feel different? I mean, most kids at some point or another feel different, but was that a big feeling for you as you were growing up?
Yeah, I actually had contact my whole life as far as just strange things would happen. A strange person would show up here and there, and I would ask my parents, and they wouldn't know who it was. Or, I remember as a child, I would get visited by, I guess they would be called what you would call a gray today, but at that time I didn't know what to refer them as. To me, I thought of elves, like Santa Claus's elves. So my mom said I always used to ask her, like, what's Santa Claus's elves doing visiting me? It's not Christmas,
Right, right.
And nothing negative, no horror stories to report from back there, but I do remember, I remember one time in particular, I was laying down, I must have been only about 8 years old, and I was laying down in the back of my aunt's, what's that called, like a station wagon. And so, if you're laying down on your back, you can see out the windows up. And I was with my cousins back there, and there was a classic UFO that was right above, telephone pole height. And I remember very clearly it being there, and I was really confused because no one else could see it. I kept going, it's right there, hello.
Right, interesting.
Yeah.
I had an experience like that one time. I saw a UFO in Oakland, of all places, and I'm not sure if anybody else saw it. I mean, it was very clear to me. It was a large silver orb, and what was really a trip was I was in a play at the time, and there was an actress in the play, and she lived in San Francisco, and she was driving across the Golden Gate Bridge, and she saw the exact same thing, but the guy in the car didn't see it. She was giving a cast member a ride home, and he didn't see it. So we both had this experience. It was really a trip, and this was not a person. This woman was not a person given to falling head over heels for phenomena. She was very much a skeptic. So, I mean, it was a very interesting share that I had with her. It was almost like, in a weird way, that orb, that large silver orb, brought us together. It was unique.
Oh, very cool. Let me ask you, what's your thoughts on that? How two people could be standing side by side, and one of them see it and one of them doesn't?
You know, I don't have
a frequency, or
yeah. I mean, that would, that'd be my first guess. But I don't really have an explanation for that. I mean, it's really a phenomena that I don't quite understand, and it could be a frequency thing. Like, certain people can see certain things that other people can't see, and and it could be momentary. It could be a lifetime, and in that moment, that was definitely something that the two of us were meant to see together, and we wound up being boyfriend and girlfriend for a while as a result of that. It was a very cool experience. So yeah. Now, you, in addition to all of this, you're also a musician. You have a band?
Yes, I have the Michael Lee Hill Project, and I've been doing some shows around Cleveland. One of the coolest things is one of my heroes and inspiration to even play music. His name is Dan Reed. I've been playing guitar for him recently when he comes into town. I played the last 3 concerts here in Cleveland with him, and so that was a real treat. Getting to play with your heroes.
Yeah, Dan Reed of the Dan Reed Network, right?
Yes, yeah.
And weren't they originally out of Portland?
Yes, indeed. Yeah.
Yeah, and I remember they got a big break because they opened for the Stones.
Yeah, 60 shows they played with the Stones. You know what happened is Dan said that's actually kind of what burst his bubble. He got to the top of the mountain there, and he said that he thought once you got to that point, all your troubles would go away and whatnot, and they didn't. And he said he's seen a lot more drama and stuff than he even thought. And at the same time, he was hired by Spin Magazine to go interview the Dalai Lama, and he said it just changed his mind, and he took all the money he made, dropped off the face of the planet, and moved into a Tibetan monastery and lived with the monks for years. And he's done just lived in Jerusalem and studied with a lot of very devout, different religious sects, actually. Mm-hmm. And he's a contactee himself with the Arcturians. And so it's been, as a matter of fact, when I met him, it was very strange because as I told you, I was a huge fan of his, and so he just recently came out of this sabbatical he's been on and started doing music again for the first time. So I found out that the closest place he was coming to was Pittsburgh, from me in Cleveland. So I made the road trip, and me and a friend went to meet him, and ended up afterwards, bought him a drink, and we're sitting there talking, and he's like, do you know of any place to get a good hotel tonight? Because I haven't even booked somewhere. And we're like, well, we're within walking distance. Come on down, and he did, and we've been great friends ever since.
Well, that's a cool story. You get to play with somebody that, whose music you really dug over the years, and that's great, man. Yeah. I remember when I think it was when they were opening for the Stones. I mean, he was on fire. I mean, he was all over MTV. I mean, Dan Reed Network had Next Big Thing written all over it. Yeah,
Bill Graham, legendary show promoter, manager. He brought Hendrix and the Beatles here to the States. Yep. He took Dan under his wing, thought he was the most talented person ever. Well, I'll tell you what, Dan is a very special person. He's probably going to kill me for saying this, but check this out.